Yo, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're gonna be breaking down how we created a 45-second ad for a really cool outdoor brand. By the way, did we mention we shot it all in one weekend? Yo, what's up? I'm Nick. I'm a photographer and filmmaker, and I primarily specialize in shooting photos and videos for outdoor brands. What does that entail exactly? It really entails creating a lot of photos that brands use for their website, for social media. I also create a lot of short e-commerce style ads that they use for their social media channels too. So today I wanted to break down how we created a 45-second ad for a really cool company called Northbound Gear Co. And the ad was focused on their feature product, which is their adventure pants. This video can really be broken down into three parts. The first is pre-production, the second is the actual production, and the final part is the post-production. So let's go ahead and start with the pre-production. I've shot some stuff for this brand in the past, and I know that they were really focused on launching these pants for the fall and the winter and getting some more content out then, because that's when people tend to buy the pants. So back in July, I pitched them this idea of creating this short video highlighting the pants, showing kind of some of the product features, and just creating some content for them. Initially, my idea was we would be going to Alaska. We were going to go with a bush plane pilot up there, have like a whole little short vignette following him as he kind of explored Alaska. But that unfortunately did not work out, because when I talked to the bush plane pilot, he was telling me, yeah, August in Alaska is pretty nice. The weather's amazing. You're not going to get a lot of snow or rain necessarily, or not necessarily be able to access those places that have snow or rain. So we ended up having to axe that idea completely, and I started brainstorming a new idea. This is when I came up with the idea of highlighting multiple different people rather than just one person for the video. We went back and forth a few different times trying to figure out what was going to really work the best for them, what was going to sell their product the best. And one thing that was really important was just understanding their audience. For them, their audience kind of ranged between 25 to like 55. So we wanted to represent their audience in this ad. We eventually came to the idea of creating one main ad that was going to feature 5 different people. And from these 5 different people, we would be creating 5 different little short vignettes highlighting one specific feature of the pants. After we kind of had our ideal characters for this ad, I went ahead and started looking at different locations and trying to think about what locations I could line up that were relatively close together so that we could just do all of these shoots in one weekend. And you might be asking, why did you have to do this shoot in one weekend? And the reason here is we rented a lot of gear, and we could really only afford to have the gear for 3 days. So that meant we had to plan all the shoots, shoot them back to back to back, and we couldn't be driving around to a ton of different locations. They all had to be relatively close so that we could drive from each one to each one, spend a few hours shooting, get what we needed, and then pack up and head to the next one. So that's exactly what we did. One important thing was making sure that we weren't wasting any time at the shoots, because we were going to be on a really tight timeline and needed to make sure we got the shots we needed for the edits. So before any of the shooting even started, I went ahead and made a pretty detailed shot list, kind of going over what I wanted, some ideas I had, and just some general shots I wanted to make sure we were getting at each of the shoots. I took this list, went over it with my DP. His name's Fisher. Dude is the absolute man. Great DP. We went over it, made sure everything looked good, made sure we were on the same page. We both knew what we were getting. We both knew what we wanted to shoot, and we kind of had a good idea of how the edit was going to come together in our heads before we had even dumped the footage, put anything together. We eventually found a date that worked for all 8 people of our crew in September, but the next challenge here was making it look cold in September in Washington can be a little bit challenging, because that's typically a really nice time of the year. So we really focused on shooting early in the morning, shooting in settings that we thought looked a little bit colder, especially for the camping and for the canoeing shots. Another really important thing when you're creating ads like this for social media is having a really good hook. Got this beautiful kind of twilight sunset backdrop where we're just shooting the products, and we just wanted to have a really cool opening shot for the video that actually made sense. Eventually I came up with the idea of bringing the pants up to a really cool ridge line in the mountains, setting them up and filming them up there. Fortunately, the day of the shoot, I found this guy on Facebook Marketplace who was selling these mannequins. So Drove them up to the mountains, put the pants on them, and we ended up doing our first shoot around 6:30 on a Friday night. We shot a little bit of stuff at sunset. We shot a little bit of stuff when it got a little bit darker, and I ended up liking the darker stuff a little bit more because we were able to get this really cool neon effect, which I think looks cool as an intro hook and really draws people in. We ended up shooting with 2 different cameras. The first was a Blackmagic 6K, and the second one was my A7S III. So between these 2 camera setups, we mainly had the Blackmagic on sticks on a tripod. With the A7S III, I had that on the gimbal, also handheld, and that was kind of a more run and gun setup where I was just getting little pickup shots as well as some of the wider shots, just in case we needed that for the videos. It was really nice having 2 cameras per shoot because this gave me a lot of options within the edit, which just made the editing a lot easier. It's about 6:03 a.m. I've been up for about, I don't know, an hour. Slept absolutely terribly, but you know, that's camping. We're getting ready to do our sunrise shoot, so we got up a little bit earlier, did some prepping. Here's the next location. So I'll be in that tent, kind of getting ready, putting on the pants, kind of going through the action, and then get this amazing sunrise in the background. I was the model for this one. Fisher was shooting me. We had this amazing sunrise, and we were able to get everything done in about 2.5 hours. After that, we headed to our next shoot, which was to meet up with our friend Delaney, where we shot this really cool waterfall hike. Here, we were focusing on capturing her walking up to the waterfall, standing close to it, getting some water on the actual pants, and showing the waterproofness of the pants. After this, we packed up the car, headed to our next shoot, and this is where we captured our friend Jack as he kind of hiked through the trails, going through some brush, showing like twigs and branches kind of hitting his knees and his legs. He then went to a river where we got the pants a little bit wet and just kind of showed like the breathability of the pants and showed someone wearing these pants fly fishing. After that, I drove about 2 hours to our next location and stayed the night out there, woke up super early, and this was for our couple canoe shoot. And then Dave, I'll get one shot of you if you wait for a second, as you're kind of pushing in and then pushing off. And go for it. If I lean forward just like right here,
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
it's just the perfect shot right now of the water like beating off. Our final shoot for the weekend was meeting up with a group of hunters, which was my dad, his buddy Mark, and Mark's son Riley. We went out, shot some cool stuff of them walking through this big field, showed different features of the pants, kind of as the pants were going through the mud, and just showing like the toughness and the durability of how you would actually be wearing these pants in this scenario. Once we wrapped up the shoots, the next step was the post-production. So I kind of have 5 phases I go through when it comes to editing projects like this. The first one is to back up all the footage, ideally double back it so it's on 2 different places. That way, if one of your hard drives crashes or anything happens, you still have the backup of the other footage. So did that. After that, you want to bring in your footage to your project. For me, I like to proxy my footage, which just basically means you make a smaller file size of the file. That makes it a lot easier to work with in the editing program, and it's just a lot faster. After that, you're going to go ahead and organize your footage. Make sure everything is labeled, it's in very nice and neat folders, and it's just easy to navigate. I always like to say you want the project to be so well organized, if another editor took it over, they would immediately be able to understand the project. After that, I started making selects reels, which is basically just putting all the different footage from each shoot into a timeline, and then going through and finding the best parts of each one of those clips, and just creating a nice, clear timeline with all the best parts of all the shoots. After that, I started assembling a rough cut of the video, made a couple different versions of this. After I had a pretty good rough cut, I sent that off to the client. We went back and forth a few times on some revisions, making sure I was creating exactly what they were wanting. From there, I do my final sound design pass where I create all the sound effects, master the music as well as the VO. After that, I do a final color pass where I go through, make sure all the colors are looking good, do color correction as well as a final color grade, and then I export the video. We're not quite done yet. After that, we need the video in a variety of formats so that they can release this video on all their social media channels. So we made a 4x5 version for Facebook, we made a 9x16 version for TikTok and Instagram Reels, and then we made a 16x9 version for YouTube as well. Another goal from this shoot was creating 5 different vignettes of each one of the characters we did a shoot with. So from these vignettes, we were able to create short ads that they're also going to be running on their social media. And each one of these ads really focuses on a feature of the pants. So for example, the backpacker, the camper, that one really focuses on the pants being fleece lined and warm. For example, the canoe one, that one really focuses on the waterproofness and the stretchability of the pants. So we created 30-second ad vignettes of each one of the shoots that we did that we also delivered to the client as well. This is a pretty typical workflow for me in terms of how I pitch the idea, doing pre-production, doing the actual production, doing the post-production, and then doing the final delivery for the ad.
And action.
All in all, it was a really great project, and we're already getting some really great feedback on how the ads are performing right now for Northbound. I'm super passionate about the outdoors, so creating an ad for an outdoor brand is a dream come true, and this project was absolutely amazing and so fun to create. Also, I wanted to give a huge shout out to everybody who helped make this ad so great. So thank you Delaney, Mary Kay and Dave, Jack, Mark, Riley, and my dad, as well as Fisher. You guys are awesome and really made this project smooth and just overall a great success, so thank you. With that being said, thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video, and here's the final ad we created. Check it out.
What makes pants built for adventure? Is it the material? Or is it the comfort and knowing whatever Mother Nature throws your way, you'll be able to handle it? Maybe it's the fact that no matter where you are, you can adapt. Or maybe it's just that feeling of being right at home, wherever you are. Or knowing that no matter what your luck is, you'll be okay. However you define your next adventure, just know that we've got you covered.